on, well, if I haven't wished you already today, listener, a very happy World Entrepreneurs Day, well, then let me take time to do that. I'm probably the first person to have done that, in fact, in your Friday. And I do it with good meaning, as welcoming now Nikki Buckley, who joins me, entrepreneur and trustee for YMCA in Exeter. Nikki, happy Friday to you. As I'm asking everyone this week, has it rained where you are yet?
It's beautiful today. I've just been out for a lovely walk in the park. The sun is shining. I was expecting rain and there's no rain.
It's a tentative balance, I have to say, this week for many of us, but that does sound quite a lovely start to your Friday, I have to say. Welcome, Nikki. I imagine life, by your CV, which I sort of have in effect in front of me, I imagine having a walk of a Friday morning, that sounds quite luxurious, because I imagine you're a bit of a blur most of the time.
I have a very busy life, yes. I'm currently on a few days annual leave, so that is why the walk is able to happen. So we're actually in Matlock visiting some very good friends of ours from like 20 odd years ago. So it's really nice to have some time to catch up as well.
I have been to Matlock and it is indeed a gorgeous part of the world. So I hope you can enjoy. Now, Nikki, on the day that it is, it's really good to be talking business, not least because you have been into the lair that is the Dragon's Den in just recent years. And I mean, have you recovered, I should ask, from the experience?
It was a nerve-wracking experience. I've definitely recovered. It was one of those experiences that you have to go with the right mindset. And myself and my husband were like, we are going to just enjoy every minute of this. We did make the fatal mistake of looking at somebody not succeed in the Dragon's Den that morning prior to filming. No. So that didn't help things. But we actually had a fabulous time. And contrary to what people might perceive of the dragons, they're actually lovely individuals.
Oh, well, I'm very glad to hear that, I have to say, because I think rather you than me as far as heading into the den, but then you had a firm business idea. Tell us a little of what you took into the den and how that came about.
Yeah, so we had a decorating tools company, but we had created a biodegradable paint tray, which was made from bagasse, which is a byproduct of sugarcane pulp. And it was quite an innovative product. We wanted to take it to market quite quickly. And that was where my husband actually approached me and said, I think we should take this to Dragon's Den. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. It's terrifying. And he said, fine, I'll do it on my own then. I said, absolutely not. You're not doing it without me. So I was kind of forced into facing my fears. And that's something that my husband helps me do a lot. So he's very visionary and loves to take a risk. And I love to take a risk, but I'm not an instigator of risk. So we make a good partnership together. And that's how we found ourselves to be there.
Did you always know that about him? That he was like that?
Do you know what? We got together and we got married 10 weeks later. So I think it was just a blueprint for how we were going to do our lives, to be honest with you. We're 2 feet in kind of people. So we jump and we trust. And that's what we have always done. We got together and we said, we want to have an adventure together. And I think that probably set the precipice for having a life that is, you know, not mainstream, shall we say.
How did you meet? I have to ask, how did you meet?
He was the boy next door at uni.
Oh, well, there you go. It's the stuff of a Hallmark movie right there.
Yeah, he was the boy next door. My flatmate actually fancied him. But as she was saying things about him, I was like, well, I think I like the sound of him. And I didn't steal her from him. Steal him from her. But yeah, we got on really well. And yeah, we were literally got together, had our first kiss, and then we were kissing down the aisle 10 weeks later. And that's been 25 years almost now. So well,
there we go. The proof is in the pudding, as it were. Congratulations on 25 years celebrating. That's brilliant. Well, now, listen, we've got onto the personal stuff already, but I am going to just sit that to one side because I want to hear more about your work, particularly both as a trustee for YMCA, but also your work with Exeter University, where you are head of sustainability engagement. Unpack that for me then. What does that mean is the day-to-day?
So the team of, there's about 20 of us in sustainability at the University of Exeter. They have incredible targets to try and do a lot in terms of decarbonising our campus, making everything we do sustainable through and through education, research, operations. So it's quite a large remit of work. And our team are made up of specialists in data and carbon experts. And I've got a small team of people in comms and engagement. And our work is about how we communicate what the university are doing and how individuals can help move us towards those collective goals. It's one thing setting a strategy and saying this is what we want to do, but then how you mobilize and achieve that, is about behavior change. So a lot of what I do is thinking about how our communication lands with people. Everybody sort of hears things in different places, we're all at different stages of life. We all have different relationships with sustainability, from skeptics to absolute buy-in. So the way that you message people and communicate and engage with people is quite nuanced to different target audiences. So essentially it's a marketing role, but for something that I'm very passionate about in that sustainability field. It's a big role. It's been really fun, and it's also very challenging in an organisation the size of the university because things often go slower than as an entrepreneur I'm used to. So that's been quite a challenge.
I have to ask, as a devil's advocate here, I mean, do you feel like you're winning on this front as far as what goals you've set in place for the university? And like you say, for some people, this is hitting right on the mark. For others, it might yet still be going over their heads or passing them by. But do you feel like you're on the winning side at the minute?
Yeah, we're making progress in lots of things. Some things are slower than others. We do a lot with the data to track. So we'll have benchmark data from where we kind of first started measuring sort of carbon activity, etc. And then we're able to kind of go back and see how is our data performing against that benchmark metrics. So it's really encouraging when you start to see your graphs going in the right direction. We also have done something called the Exeter Climate Conference, where we bring together lots of leaders in this space. And it was really encouraging that actually in the UK, we've reduced our emissions by over 54%, which is, we don't hear the good news enough, I think, sometimes in the climate space. Media love to portray the doom and gloom, but obviously we're in a massive climate crisis. We can see now we're coming into, the fifth or sixth heat wave this summer. We've had the increases of fires. And now my news feed this morning is about the flash floods that we're going to expect. So I think people are on board a lot more in seeing, this is now not something that we're planning and talking about in the future. This is happening in real time in our day-to-day lives. And I think that really starts to help people go, okay, what can I do to make a difference now? And that's so, what I hope anyway.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I mean, what do they do? What does it look like, feet on the ground around the campuses? What is the outworking of this? How does sustainability work itself in the day-to-day for those on campus, those students?
So we can start with some really small things. So we've got some brilliant initiatives that have been award-winning at the university. So one is we have something called a Gift It, Reuse It campaign, where we'll have thousands of students move out of their halls at the end of the academic year, and they often leave behind all sorts of things, from air fryers to fancy dress outfits to plates and crockery, pots and pans, all those kinds of things. So we've been collating those over the last 3 years. We have measured what the carbon would be on those if they went to landfill. And then we have a scheme where we then start to send out comms to all the incoming students and say, don't buy new stuff. We've got fantastic next to new stuff here that you can use. And we dotted everything. We put little red dots on everything that we did in year one. And then on the second year, we were actually seeing that some of those items were coming back. So they're going through that cycle again. I'm rubbish at facts and figures, so do look it up on the University of Exeter Facebook page and Instagram. But the carbon savings are phenomenal from doing that. And, just the campaign, but also in a cost of living crisis, it's fantastic for the parents because there's a lot of money saved that you're not going out buying all this new stuff when it's perfectly good. you can get it and use it. But then we also do things like repair cafes. So we teach our young people how to repair clothes. And I think we've got a culture where people are much more keen on that now. So they'll go thrifting, they'll learn how to hem their jeans, how to sew a button on. And we have lovely ladies from the Topsham Repair Cafe that come in. So it really builds that community thing, and they will then share those skills. And I think keeping really good skills out there in action is quite important, because a lot of those fundamental skills that we don't use anymore will die out. And just to bring it back to YMCA, that's also one of those lovely things that we do there. So we teach those life skills and, small practices that you can do, which help with mental health, because we do like teaching how to plant vegetables, how to do wood whittling and things like that. And it's quite therapeutic. You get some lovely conversations. And I think that community outreach is just a really lovely way of building those relationships with our young people, getting those conversations, trying to find out where they're at, and then, bring what we do, hopefully to match, and have those conversations about how they can make small differences in the ways that they run their lives or behave in their lives that can help, not just for them right now, but for our planet and for our world going forward.
It's wonderful. It's a far cry from when I was at university, when I imagine anything that got left behind in a halls at the end of a term just got chucked in a bag, and it was something else to deal with. And I love that it seems now as though we're actually affording the space to think through tangibly, what do we do? Well, I don't just want to throw this away, because actually that's a dangerous option now, isn't it? To just throw things in a bag.
And it's not even easy. Our infrastructure has changed and it's advanced so well that you can't just go and throw everything in landfill anymore. Well, it doesn't go to landfill, it goes for waste recovery. But, I've been to the waste centre down in Marsh Barton in Exeter, and went through, and we learned all about what happens to the waste as it's sorted. There is no waste, even down to at the very end when they've incinerated waste, it goes down to this dust and the dust particles. There is innovation where they're trying to make, they're called sky diamonds from the dust that's left over. So, everything has got a recovery process. And the small things that we can do, if we rinse out our recycling, it means it's better quality recycling for the recyclers to go and, make it into park benches or bollards or that kind of thing. But also by sorting, giving to charity shops. If we can, do our small part at the beginning, it makes the process going forward much easier for the infrastructure that is being set up. So I want to reassure people, because some people are like, oh, what's the point? It doesn't really make a difference. It does.
Well, I think, and I would like to pick that up, because, like I say, the age that I am, we look at work that's happening now and we think, well, is it actually meaningfully going to make a difference? Is that little one thing that I can do going to make up even for all the stuff I possibly can't do right now? But everything does help.
Yeah. And I think we all have things that we're prepared to do and things that we're not prepared to do. And so you would offset. So I've got friends and colleagues that would never fly anymore, and they're looking at slow travel, low carbon travel. I love seeing the world. So that's probably not something that I would compromise on. But I am really passionate about reducing waste. And that's something that, my kids, I drive them mad, because I've just had one of them on the phone saying she's just put a full thing of Philadelphia in the recycling bin. She's not washed it out. So my voice is coming back to me now after all the years of kind of going at them. But my kids all shop at charity shops. They love thrifting, and so everybody has got something they can do. And I think that's part of that communication process. What are you prepared to do? And collectively, when we're all working together on little elements, we're making that possible difference that I think we need.
Wonderful stuff. Now let's take a sidestep to the work of YMCA, and tell us how you found yourself as a trustee.
So I did a diploma in social environmental governance, and part of that diploma was learning, and as an entrepreneur. So I've been in business for nearly 25 years. So I don't have a straight line career. If my story jumps about, my life jumps about. So I've had jobs, I've had like businesses and things, but I basically, as part of that diploma, one of the things was learning to have a role as a non-executive director. So it was on my radar. And then through my church, Rediscover Church, one of my friends is the joint CEO of YMCA Exeter, and he had mentioned that they were trying to do something in sustainability, and could I come and have a chat with him? So we went in for a chat, and then I realised that they had an NED role come up, so I applied for the role, and I think I've been on the board for just coming up for 2 years already, which is crazy. It's gone incredibly quickly. But I love that because it brings my experience in business and finance, but also that kind of social element and the governance element. So I really like seeing things done well, and YMCA Exeter are fabulous at their governance and, you know, making sure that the service we deliver is exceptional, and the team that all deliver that service are exceptional. So that's how I came to be in that role. And I also have been building 3 care homes alongside that with my husband. We have a couple of business partners. So I've kind of got these 3 roles, and I've been passing my skills. You know, I'll upgrade my skills in one area, pass it on to another. So I kind of call it skill stacking. And so it's been a really lovely way of like beg, steal and borrow knowledge and information, pass it. But it's just been a really nice circle for me to kind of bring, although I'm busy, it feels like it's a nice kind of loop of activity.
Wonderful stuff.
And very rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to ask, we're going to take a break in a couple of minutes, but I mean, for particularly YMCA, what is the current climate? What are the current challenges the organisation would be facing in terms of work and a focus?
Yeah, so I think when you come into a cost of living crisis, things like our giving go down because people haven't got the surplus. And also YMCA Exeter have grown quite a lot in recent years, and that changes the funding bracket because we'll have a higher turnover. And we've been doing a lot of really exciting partnerships where we've now branched further into Torbay and Torquay areas. And that's been brilliant because we've been able to kind of facilitate more young people getting into off the streets and into supported living. But when those funding brackets change, then, you know, you're having to find other pots of money, which means in that type of governance, the infrastructure that you have, the level of detail that you have to go through needs to be much more rigorous. So in terms of the policies and the governance we have in place as a board, we kind of work with the JCEOs to improve that so that we can open up other pots of funding. And we have just recently got a new funding manager that's going to help us unlock some of that. But I would say, if people wonder whether it's, you know, their little £5 if they could give, we have a lovely campaign called Be Part of the 100. We just ask for £5 a month, and that gives a toiletry bag to the people that are just coming into the accommodation. Those small gestures really do make a huge difference. And I know, you know, when purse strings are tight, it feels like, oh, can we really afford to do this? Is it really going to make a difference? And I just like to say it does. You know, it makes them feel seen and valued and appreciated. And, you know, a small thing like that, a clean set of sheets, a toiletry bag, a roof over your head, you can't underestimate how life-changing that can be for those young people.
Nikki Buckley is my guest this morning here on This Is My Story. Going to take a quick break for a few minutes of a song. And then, Nikki, can we chat a bit more about life and faith? And we're going to head back in time as well. Look forward to doing that with Nikki after music from Mission House. Mission House playing on your UCB2. Just coming up for 11:33 here Friday morning with Abby looking after things. Nikki Buckley joins me live as we are sharing on this World Entrepreneurs Day. Well, Nikki, what does it feel like to have a whole day for people such as yourself?
Well, I don't know. There's Mum's Day. We get to celebrate that.
This is true.
We get Entrepreneurs Day. You know, we need a few more, don't we? I think as women particularly, Abby, I think we need to be celebrated more.
I think we do, particularly in business. And I know that this is, I feel, what I love is I can sense the fire in your belly, if I can say it like that. And I can sense that in terms of your motivation through a number of things. And of course, we touched a little earlier on getting married and settling down, and even those years ago, sort of feeling the heart and the stirring for adventure. And well, I'm just going to say New Zealand, and I'm going to say, Nikki, tell us more about some of these adventures you've had.
Well, back in 2012 it must have been, me and my husband had decided that we'd always had this thing about New Zealand but didn't quite know what it was. So we were currently living in Bradford at the time, and we said, you know what, we'll go out to New Zealand, we'll just see what this is about. And I don't even think we touched down. We're like, we want to move here. We'd spent 2 years out, 2 weeks out there, and just thought this is somewhere we want to come. We did have friends at the time that were moving out with their church, and she said to me, oh, you must have a real call of God on your life if you want to move out to New Zealand. And I said, do you know what? It's just something we want to do. And I think I want to encourage people that, you know, I think sometimes as Christians, you kind of wait for God to give you an answer or a direction. Sometimes it's okay to just do what you fancy and what you feel you want to do. And I, you know, release people into that. We did it because we wanted to have an adventure, and we wanted to see what it was like to live with our family abroad and experience a different culture and a different way of life. And it wasn't always an easy journey. We took a business out there and it didn't go well. And we ended up coming back. I was pregnant with my fourth child, had quite a difficult pregnancy. So it was quite dire coming back. We kind of set up there. We were all really happy. And then the business, we bought some marquees from China. They weren't up to scratch. We had to sell them. We got a New Zealand marquee. Then we missed the market because we kind of missed the end of summer. Our visas didn't let us kind of deviate. Then I had this difficult pregnancy. So it's like, you know, have to put a tail between our legs and go home. But it was okay. My husband retrained in advertising. We ended up living with my in-laws for about 6 months while we had our baby. Then we were blessed with a house down in London, which we paid next to nothing for because it was a family house in probate. It was an amazing, happy year for us. And then just as my husband finished his course in advertising, he got a job out in New Zealand. So we went out for the second time. We did 4 years out there. He hated being employed, so we bought another business after a while. And it was a really happy time, something that we've loved doing. Our kids spent 4 or 5 years living barefoot. You know, they'd wear their shorts and t-shirt in bare feet in the summer. They'd wear their shorts and t-shirt, bare feet, and a woolly hat in the winter. They had their little Kiwi accents. We made friends. We had the perfect lifestyle. But we used to say it's like having a pretty little box, and when you take the lid off, there's nothing inside. And it just felt like we weren't connected to our family, and we didn't find our purpose while we were there. So you could say, you know, because we didn't have the call on God on it, was it missing because of that? But we don't regret what we went and did. We had an amazing experience. It's really bonded our family around something that we did together. And our kids have come back really understanding that there's not just one way of doing life. You know, different places do things differently. It helps you think a lot wider, that they're, you know, you don't need to have a fixed mindset. You don't have to have a fixed way of being as a family or a culture. And it also taught us that home is where family is, not where our property or our building is. And I think that's been a really rich experience for us as a family. So we've been back 7 years now, had an amazing time out there, no regrets, and we've carried on our adventure on our return.
And I love that sense that, I mean, well, yeah, adventure is where you find it, where you seek it, I guess. And so often, and I've seen this in it's always lovely. I mean, the perspective of another that you can see for people. Sometimes they are waiting for that tangible writing in the sky that says, this is what's next. But actually, we then We do got a disservice by how he's created us and the desires of our heart and the delights of the things that inspire and stir us, actually. And it is that entrepreneurial spirit. It is that heart and that momentum to try something new, see something new. And it's healthy to want those things, isn't it? Because actually we can miss the boat, which is the danger, and just stay where we are. But we've got to take that step.
Life is really short, and I'd say me and my husband are big risk takers, as I kind of mentioned. We have a healthy relationship with risk, and I think faith in risk means that you always know God's got you. We used to say, we'll jump 2 feet in, but there's always a safety net there. And, that's where our faith has come into the things that we've done. We haven't lived in fear, we've lived in faith. And that doesn't mean waiting for God to move. That means moving and trusting that God will be there with you. Yeah. When we moved out to New Zealand, we actually sent our stuff before we got a visa. So we booked our flights. And it wasn't until we landed in Kuala Lumpur that the visas came through. And we're like, but we just were so convicted that this was the right thing for us to do. And those acts of faith in front of your kids are amazing as well. But it is putting yourself on the edge. Yeah. And, maybe it's testing God, or is it just going, God is in us wherever we are, whatever we do. It's, it's not us in him, he's in us. It makes me feel alive when we do these crazy things. It energizes me and it terrifies me, and it just wakens me up. And I think that's why I like not being normal. I don't know what you would say normal is, but
what is it? Well, this is it. What is normal these days, indeed?
Absolutely.
How would you encourage someone today who's listening, who's probably in that place of waiting, maybe particularly in the area of business? For you as an entrepreneur, for the years and experience behind you already, what would you say to that person today who's going, I'm just not knowing if this is it? I'm feeling the fear, actually, of, do I step into this, and how do I feel supported as well? Because I imagine it can be a lonely place when you make that step forward as well at times.
Yeah, I haven't got any actual groups that I can recommend, but there are so many wonderful Facebook groups and entrepreneur groups, and get connected into local places near you where you're finding like-minded people. I think that's the first thing, because when you're an entrepreneur, if you talk to people that don't have that same mindset, they'll always probably keep you on the side of caution. Just watch Clarkson's Farm, and you've got Charlie that's always like the naysayer to everything that Jeremy wants to do. When you're an entrepreneur, often you sound like you're trying to do something that's not achievable, and maybe you are, and that's what innovation's about. It's trying to go into uncharted territory. So it is quite hard to find people that are pioneering when you're pioneering something new yourself. But I think also it's not that big a deal. Make a phone call, book a meeting, have a conversation, see where it goes. It might open something, it might close something, but it's not going to happen if you don't actually be proactive. And I think that's what being an entrepreneur is about. It's being proactive. It's actually doing the doing and not the dreaming or the planning. At some point, you have to move out of the paper stage and the idea stage and just give it a go. And that's why I think you've got to have that healthy relationship with risk and rejection and failure. Failure is not bad. Failure is actually just iteration. Okay, this didn't work, let's try something else. Our business in New Zealand didn't work. It didn't matter. It became a learning experience. Okay, well, we wouldn't do it like that again. And everything that you are progressing in is all knowledge and education and opportunity. And, you've just got to give it a go and not worry if it doesn't work out. But also I guess that means not holding on to your materialism too tightly. Like, we've sold cars, we've sold houses to invest into businesses, we've gone back into rentals. It's okay, because like I say, your home is where your family is, not what is around you. Don't hold on to, I guess the world makes us say we need to have our mortgage and we need to have a house, we need to be safe. What is safe? what does safe look like? And I think when you're an entrepreneur, I guess you reframe what safe looks like to you. And for us, the journey is the exciting part. And I think, we've bought and sold several businesses over the years, and almost when they get a bit status quo, we're kind of like, there's no struggle left in it. It's a bit boring now. And for years we thought we were scatty, but we realised actually we just love the idea, the innovation, the pulling the creativity together, the making something happen, the building. That's the exciting part. So for anybody listening that's going, shall I do it? Just make book a meeting with someone, have a conversation. Don't think you've got to have everything in place. Just do the small, like with the recycling, just the small steps. That's what it takes.
Have you learnt this behaviour of sort of pressing on? Has that been in your spirit since sort of childhood even? Has that come along with you for the journey, do you think?
I think I've built resilience all the way through. I left home at 16. Me and my parents didn't get on brilliantly. I do get on with them very well now. I had a lot of younger siblings and I was the older one, and it just didn't work for me to stay. So I left home, but then I got a job, didn't really like the job. I actually started working in a nursing home, which is, full circle for me now, because I own care homes. And then I decided to go back to college. So I did that part-time, and then I had to make that switch from leaving a job to doing it full-time and then going on to uni. So I did things sort of a bit backwards, and it was really difficult. So I had to work part-time jobs whilst doing my degree or doing my college course. I didn't make things easy for myself. When Joel and I got married after 10 weeks, that wasn't an easy decision. We were both pretty broke at the time. I don't think we've taken an easy route, and it's been very challenging, but then the highs have been very high as well. But as I say, that's part of the adventure. When you feel raw emotion, that's what makes me feel alive. That's what makes me feel like I'm not scrolling, watching someone's life, but living life. And I think it's an exhilarating place to be, but it can also be really, really difficult.
It's exhausting.
Go on.
It can be exhausting, really, can't it?
Be exhausting, but I've got a friend, the friends we're staying with, he'll say, choose your hard. Whatever you do is hard, so choose your hard. Do you want to have money? Do you not want to have money? Both is hard. So which one do you want to work towards? So it's you have everybody has choices, and every choice you make has a consequence. And as accumulation of those choices builds, you're kind of taking yourself into a direction. So you need to decide, which direction do I want to be in? Where do I want to be in 10 years' time? What does that look like? And backcast from there, so what decisions will I need to make? I actually did something at the beginning of this year. I just did some mind mapping and set some visions for the year. And I wanted to make sure that being so busy, I have more time for myself, for my relationships, to build more friendships, to put some time into my health. So then when I'm doing my day-to-day things, and I can go, is this taking me towards that goal or away from that goal? And then it helped to justify actually spending some time exercising today. That's important because that's part of the vision that I'm creating right now. Better healthy me is better for the people around me, means that I do the work that I do much more beneficially to those around me. So I think, you
managed to get that balance. No, but that's good, because I'm fascinated, and I think I find there's a point of wanting to stay present, and the do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow brings its own. But then you've got the balance of that with longer term planning. It's healthy to do that, particularly in work and business. So it's a fine line, I'm sure.
It's a fine line. And I think, if you don't look to what the future holds, then you're almost like a jellyfish. You're just going to go where life takes you. So, I would say that I've been quite an ambitious person. And I guess as a Christian as well, the challenge of, is that okay to be ambitious when you're a Christian? But God's given us skills, he's given us creativity, he's given us the ability to do things. And wouldn't it be a shame if we get to meet him and go, what did you do with the skills that I gave you? Oh, I watched lots of people do stuff in their lives while I was scrolling. Let's get off our phones, let's get out, let's be community, let's, just do things that make it feel like you've built purpose in your life. And I think that's the thing. What energizes you? What makes you feel connected to people? What makes you feel like your life has got a bit more purpose? And for every one of us, that's different. All our values are different. Yeah. So you can't kind of compare what you're doing to what someone else is doing. Not everybody listening today wants to be an entrepreneur. You're very happy doing what you're doing. And if that's fulfilling you, that's absolutely right. And I think that's important, that you lean into what feels right in your life and in your heart.
Bless you. Nikki, thank you. I find that so encouraging, and I know that will be there'll be some nodding heads at home and some little sort of that feeling of the cheerleading and the little prompt on the back to get started with something today. YMCA Exeter.org.uk is where you can discover more about Nikki's work as trustee with the team there and their ongoing work. And wishing you all the best for the continued work in sustainability at University of Exeter. And I feel, are the feet itchy, Nikki? Is there a tentative sense of something new on the horizon?
Well, Abby, I actually have recently handed my notice in, so I'll be finishing at the middle of October in my job, which has been a big thing for me to leave that behind. So I'll be moving into the care homes, but also watch this space because I might have some other things up my sleeve.
Nikki, I didn't know when I asked that was going to be the answer. I didn't know that at all, but I'm bless you. I got a sense in the air that there was sort of a tingling, a goosebumps, something on the horizon. Well, you'll have to come back and tell us another time what's happening, Nikki. Because we'd love to have you back and hear about the next step in the adventure. Joining me today, Nikki Buckley is my guest here on This Is My Story. Nikki, thank you very much.
Thank you, Abby.